Hey up lads and lasses, Danfire here, back again with some more Infinite Lagrange. Sorry about the recent turn of, lack of videos. Unfortunately got very, very ill and flew for 2 weeks solid, and then took me a bit of time to recover from that and what have you. Still not quite all so if I feel sound a little bit gravelly, apologies in advance. So, to ease myself back in, because I haven't been able to make videos for 3 weeks almost, or 2 and a bit weeks at least, I'm just doing a nice simple one, and we're going to go talk about the changes to the auxiliary ships and the sub-base system. So, dear explorers, greetings. Subfleet buildings and auxiliary ships can provide features such as supply and repair during prolonged battles far from the base. Subfleet buildings and auxiliary ships often offer significant support, continuously providing various support capabilities for explorers. To enable explorers to engage in long-distance combat more flexibly, including cross-system operations, the functions of subfleet buildings and auxiliary ships will be further upgraded in the near future. Here are the details of this preview. So we can see here, we've got subfleet buildings upgraded to sub-bases, which can now create fleets. The original subfleet building are now renamed as sub-bases and provide more powerful features, allowing explorers to manage fleets and create fleets in the sub-base. Explorers can freely disband subfleet formations and regroup ships moored in the sub-base. Multiple subfleet groups are allowed in one sub-base. It's actually quite cool. One of the issues I had previously with subfleets was you built your subfleets, you sent your subfleets into them, and then you build up your CP cap for your main fleet. And if you get to a point where it's like, oh, I need to change my subfleet, but your CP cap's full, you just have to delete parts of your main fleets to be able to get your subfleets back to switch things around. And it was just very, very awkward, or they just got deleted anyway. If you just bring the subfleet back, and then you're gonna have to delete, bits of your main fleet to rebuild subfleet. It was awkward. It was horrendously awkward. At least this way, it sounds like you might be able to split the fleet up, bring the ships that aren't working out too well in the subfleet back. You don't have to delete quite as many ships from your main fleet, or at least just keep a small amount of CP spare just to switch those ships in, and then you could just send them all to the outpost or the sub base now, and just get them working, which is great because like I said, that was the biggest issue. Well, one of the biggest issues I had with them. There's a couple of others, but they were mostly bugs. Subbases now also increase storage limits and prefab module storage. Each subbase will provide a certain resource storage limit for the star system where the subbase is located. The subbase can now also store a certain amount of prefab modules. The original base facility, Subfleet Command Center, and the Org Talent Subfleet Command Tech with max subfleets +1 are adjustable to max subbases +1. So yeah, nice change. It makes them more usable. Subfleet's definitely more usable now. But we'll see. I don't even think I even seen too many people using subfleets, to be honest with you. It's a bit awkward when you're trying to command 4 or 5 fleets in a battle. Well, for me personally, I know there's people that multi-box and they'll command 10 dudes at once, and or hats off to you if you can do that. But for me, the old age and stuff like that, I just can't do it. And I get serious lag, really, really bad lag, when there's 20, 30 players on screen moving fleets about. Unfortunately, don't have the best internet in the world. But, you know, there you go. So it does make it harder for me to use things like subfleets because, you know, I'll ask them to attack something, and then by the time the command goes through, the fleet's just moved off screen somewhere, and now my fleet's just trailing across space into bloody nowhere. So yeah, it is really awkward with the lag at the moment, but there it is. Auxiliary ship fleets expand into sub-base feature. After mooring at a resource node, the auxiliary ship fleet can execute the expand into outpost operation. After spending a certain amount of time, of which they don't tell us, the auxiliary ship will expand into an outpost and automatically become a sub-base. This sub-base will have the benefits brought by docking with the auxiliary ship. The outpost form of the auxiliary ship can also be retracted, reverting it back to an auxiliary ship fleet, and the self-holding ability of auxiliary ship will also apply to the sub-base, increasing the maximum command points of the sub-base. The original supply and docking support commands of the auxiliary fleet are integrated into the moor command. After mooring at resource, the auxiliary ship fleet can execute the supply command. When mooring at a sub-base, it will grant the docking support effect to the sub-base. So here they are again, trying to make the auxiliary ships relevant in-game, and the big caveat here is where it says, after spending a certain amount of time, the auxiliary ship will expand into an outpost. If that time is the same time as it takes for your miner to build an outpost, the auxiliary ship is redundant waste of time. Simple as that. Really, really is as simple as that. Fine, you might get the benefits of being able to build frigates or destroyers if you've got the Idiot Carrion, or if you've got just the FSV, you can do frigates or, you know, corvettes or fighters. You can't do like all three types, no, because that'd just be stupid, right? If they had this feature and it took the same time to build the outpost as it took for this to deploy into its outpost sub-base thing, right? The only way this still comes out on top is if it can use all of its ability to build ships. So if it's an FSV, it can build frigates and corvettes and fighters, bombers, all at that one outpost. Fantastic, I'd use it. Absolutely, 100% use it. It'd be great at that point. Eddie Karen gets the benefits of being able to do destroyers as well as the other three things, you know, corvettes, fighters, frigates. Fantastic, absolutely, would use it. So far, it looks like, and it sounds like, they're just going to let you, if you've got the Corvette dock on there, you can build Corvettes at it, but again, that's relatively a waste of friggin' time. It was before as well. Like, you saw occasionally, I even used them occasionally to rebuild Strike Fleet Corvettes. It was very rare that I did it, because it just wasn't thought out properly, and it just doesn't work correctly. These ships need either a massive rework where we're allowed to use all of its docking potential, so you can build everything from them. If it's an Eddie Crown, up to destroyers, so frigates, destroyers, corvettes, fighters, fantastic, it'll be great then. FSV, okay, maybe don't give it destroyers, so you got some distinction between the Eddie Karen and the FSV, and FSV can do frigates, corvettes, and fighters, and then give the FSV, I know, some reason why it can't. It's got the movement speed bonus and stuff like that. You can kind of argue why it's still, you know, on par with an Eddie Karen if it can't just build destroyers, but, you know, that'd be fine. That would fix them. And you could incorporate it into this. Once deployed into an outpost, you can use all of its ability to build ships. Perfect. Works out perfectly then. Either that, or they completely remove this whole deployable outpost structure thing that they're trying to do with them, and you put them into fleet, And when they're in fleet, they do cool things. They give you big buffs to the back row, to the mid row, like they currently kind of have on the FSV, but make the buffs relevant enough for us to go, 40 CP is worth putting in my fleet because it's going to give me 20-30% damage buffs to my back row, or 30% dodge rate to the mid row. You know, it needs to, its ability for it to be in fleet needs that 40 CP to be relevant. 40 CP is what? 2 IO. Think of the amount of damage 2 IO dishes out. It needs to be at least as substantially equivalent to that. A carrier, the solar whales are 40. Well, actually, there's like 45, but it doesn't matter. They're in reinforcement fleet. Battle cruisers, maybe. Battle cruisers are better there. 35 CP, is it, for spear? Or is it 30 CP for spear? I can't remember at the moment. Those massive CP pools, like that you put into fleets, they require either, you know, massive damage output, fantastic healing capabilities, CAS auxiliary, things like that. You know, so at 40 CP, they either need to lower them down to like 15 CP and keep the current buffs, then you'd probably see them in fleet. Or, you know, like I said, change them, give the better ability to support, or give them the ability to, you know, turn into these bases, these that you can dock to and repair and rebuild ships that you actually need, and rebuild, you know, all of them, not just one type of ship. Anyway, let's go on. Emergency evasion feature from auxiliary ships. When a subbase has an ally auxiliary ship fleet moored at it, or is formed by an auxiliary ship fleet, these subbases will have the emergency evasion feature. When these subbases are destroyed, the docked auxiliary ship's ship fleet will merge with the undestroyed ships in the subbase to form a fleet and jump to a random location in the same region. Each auxiliary ship will have its own individual cooldown for this feature and cannot be triggered again for a period of time. Now that subbase and auxiliary ships have this new feature, they will certainly play a great role in future cross-system save. No, they bloody won't. This concludes our preview. Please accept it. So, the emergency evasion feature is really, really interesting. Like, if I'm reading it right, before the subbase gets destroyed, the auxiliary ship will join fleet with the ships that didn't get destroyed, and it will just randomly warp off somewhere. Fantastic. That sounds good. That sounds fun, right? And as a cooldown, so you can't abuse it. It's not just going to be like an infinite fleet that you just can't kill because it's going to run away every time. It's not going to be that. It's going to be bouncing around a little bit. It's probably going to have like a 24-hour cooldown, or a same cooldown as the Peace Shield, maybe. So that's quite cool, but again, the rest of it is just not. And to say they will play a certain greater role, they won't. They are currently, like, devs, if you watch this, the auxiliary ships, even with these changes, are just not worth it. They're too fiddly. The game's like, the fact that the game lags and stuff like that makes using ships like this quite annoying to try and use in general. Same with subfleets. The problem with subfleets I found personally, I'm sure you'll see this in the comments as well, is a lot of people have issues trying to use them outside of just a defensive role. If you're trying to use them aggressive, like aggressive subfleets, so you can like have like 4 or 5 fleets on a front line, yeah, good luck with that. You're going to get massive amounts of lag. So yeah, I just don't bother. The auxiliary ships, like I've said, if you watch it, go back. I've given you like 3 really good ideas that make them relatively useful. And the laziest one is just reducing the CP down to where they are viable to put in fleets, so the current buffs they give are reasonable. I personally would rather see bigger buffs on them and then keep them at 40 CP, because then it's a bit more of a harder choice. And then again, I would almost actually like to see the outpost thing, but with like its ability to build every type of ship that it can. But there we go. I digress because I've ranted on enough now. So thank you guys for watching. Again, apologies about last couple of weeks. I've just, yeah, it's what it is, unfortunately. Human. We are biologically not completely immune to everything yet. Maybe soon. So, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.